Hi everybody, welcome back to the amazing webinar series about navigating my aged care. This is brought to you by OPAN, the Older Persons Advocacy Network, and I'm Marie Montgomery, your host for the day. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the great work by COTA and the Navigators Trial, of which this is part of the trial, one of the 62 across Australia, and it's funded by the Australian Government. Today we're actually going to be discussing a really hot topic, and that's home care packages, what they are and what services that you can get and the different levels, etc. Let's talk about our amazing panellists, and you may recognise these ladies from the last webinar, which was just fantastic. So down the end I have Elise Nolte. Elise is the team manager and ACAT team manager, that's correct, isn't it, at Mercy Health. And I have Georgina Hill at Live Better. You're the community coordinator at Live Better, is that correct?
That's correct.
Excellent. And then Maria Berry here to my left. Hi Maria, welcome back.
Hi.
Maria is a consumer health representative. If we just take a little quick look at our journey board and see where we are today in regards to navigating. We're down in number 4, and it's looking at different types of services available. And this is the biggest step that we have here, and to extrapolate all the different types of services along the way. And it's probably the area that people find the greatest difficulty or confusion, because there are many options, and it's about, I guess, being prepared, being aware of what My Aged Care is about, the website, and I guess the call centre as well. So if we move on, and as we've always suggested, our advice here at OPAN along this journey is to be prepared. Make sure that you talk with your loved ones and or family about what it is that you want ageing positively forward. And we went to Embolden this weekend, and it was last weekend, and it was amazing, and such a positive influence on if you're ageing. That is what was the words in Catherine Barrett? To age is a privilege, and it is indeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, excellent. Just a bit of housekeeping, top right-hand corner, Q&A. We would love your questions today. They can be answered here live, and if we don't have the answers for you, we certainly will go and research them for you. There is a Facebook group, which is great to have a discussion with other people with similar concerns, issues and questions. And if you go to the OPAN Facebook group and look at groups, you'll find navigating site there, and you can join that. We will put up links as well to anything that we discuss. So that's a really good thing to do. All right, so without further ado, ladies, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourselves and why you're so passionate? So Elise, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, so as some of you might know from the last webinar, I've been working in the aged care assessment team for about 9 years, just a bit over. I think my passion has come originally from quite some time ago, working in an aged care facility. I'm an occupational therapist by trade, but have been, as I say, working in the aged care assessment team for the last 9 years. And I think the thing I like about it the most, working in aged care, is being able to be part of people's journeys to ensure that they're able to live a fulfilling life, as they age.
Beautiful. And so important, and it's amazing to have such great people in the industry. So thank you so much, and thanks again for your time today. Georgina, over to you. I know you're passionate, so
Definitely, yeah. I'm a community care coordinator at Live Better.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in this role since December last year. Before that, I've been in residential care, and I've done home care work as well. My passion originally started, when I first left school, I did nursing for a little while, enrolled in nursing.
Yep.
But in the last few years, my mother was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease,
Yep.
which has been a motivator to help help other people enable their lives. And
Yeah.
so I know from a client aspect that the difficulties involved in the My Aged Care system.
That lived experience really adds a different perspective, doesn't it?
Definitely, because you don't think it's going to happen to your family, but it does.
It does.
can. And there's no warning, so you need to be prepared. Basically, what you were saying
Absolutely.
before.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. And look, being prepared, enabled is empowered.
That's right. Definitely.
Yeah. Beautiful. And Maria Berry.
And I guess, like Georgina has just highlighted, until you go through that lived experience and it really ignites that passion that you want to do more. My background's been working with older people, both professionally and in the community, for over 30 years, nursing, residential care, community care, and then carer for my own parents, and trying to navigate the aged care system and the hurdles and difficulties we came up with. So that's why it's important today.
And just on a little note, it's Maria's birthday today, so we're all celebrating with her. So there's some cakes down here.
Thanks, Marie.
It's a pleasure.
Everyone knows now.
Secret's out.
Okay, so let's get this show on the road. What are home care packages? So I'm going to go to Elise down the end. So if you were asked what is a home care package, what would you explain to someone to differentiate them, particularly from CHSP, which we discussed last week?
Sure. So I guess the home care packages are more about a coordinated care package provided by a service provider. It's mostly for people with higher level care needs and more complicated care needs than what you might find with your CHSP services. So it might be, you'll need multiple services provided by the one service provider. And the one thing that's really important with a home care package that you don't get with a CHSP services is a care manager, someone that manages with you your package and the funds that provide your care.
Okay, so it's a very coordinated approach to multiple services.
That's right, yep.
Okay, lovely, nicely put. So how does it actually work? I mean, there are different types and levels. When I started researching this myself, I was like, well, I'm not really sure how this works. And I know many of the questions we get is, what level am I at, or what level do I need? So, Georgina, do you want to discuss anything about levels?
Well, the levels are they're ascertained by My Aged Care.
Okay.
After the ACAT assessment, a lot of the time the clients will be allocated a lower level just to get their foot in the door, get some care in place, maybe a level 1, and then after a waiting period they could be allocated a higher level depending on the ACAT assessment.
Okay. So, and we're going to be looking at the ACAT assessment again in webinar 2. And really follow that process through. So it's the outcome of the ACAT assessment that will determine the level that you have of a home care package, yeah?
Yes, it is. And something to add to what Georgina was saying was basically when we go and see you to do an assessment, an aged care assessment, you'd be allocated a level depending on what your care needs are, and then usually, but it is case specific, but usually you'd be offered a lower package. So if you're offered, say if you've got approval for a home care package level 2, you would be offered a home care package level 1 whilst you wait for the home care package level 2, just to get you started on the home care package process and to have some support in place. Yep.
Okay, excellent. So we actually have a page on the My Aged Care website, so I think we should go, if that's possible, Tom, across to the package level page that discusses the levels of care, basic, low, intermediate and high. And you'll see there on the screen that they have different level of care needs with different funding. Is funding appropriate term? Different amounts of funding that you will get or benefit.
Is okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So the package level assigned to you is based upon your needs. So whilst we're on that My Aged Care website, it is an excellent site to scroll through in regards to finding information. So this came under types of care, and we then went down into home care packages. So looking at a bit more complex care rather than community, CHSP, sorry. I always get it wrong. All right. So let's talk about the services available. So just give us an example of what sort of services would be available to people out there who are assessed and have got packages. So, Georgina.
Okay, well, the funding is client directed. So basically, it's anything that a client requires to enable them to live in their home and have the support that they require to be independent.
Mm-hmm.
The funding needs, the services need to fit within the budget, and the budget, at level 1, it's over, it's 8,000.
750?
That's right. That is, some people are under the assumption that funding is immediately, that amount is put into their to be used straight away. It is actually accrued on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
So you have, sometimes if you would need require a more expensive item, you have to wait for the funding
To accrue.
That's right. There are some exceptions to what can be paid under. I mean, you'd need to check on My Aged Care on the guidelines as to what can't be paid, but some things like electricity, rent, mortgages, medication under the PBS cannot be purchased under the home care package. But generally, anything that helps you, enable you to live in your home and supports your needs.
Like a walker or?
Walker, yep, the equipment, yep.
Okay.
And just on that, it's important to add to that sometimes if you've been approved for a home care package, you then are not eligible for other funding. So it might be in New South Wales, if you are approved for a home care package, you are then not eligible for enable funding. So it's important for you to take that into consideration when having the assessment, and hopefully your assessor goes through that with you when you are assessed, and weighing up if it's worthwhile having a home care package and how you best manage it if you have high equipment needs, like you might need a wheelchair, or if it's a walker, or anything that basically you need to be able to keep you at home safely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Maria, do you have anything to add in regards to?
And I guess just the importance at the time of assessment, which we've brought up before, make sure that you've got support there, that you've got a person of trust.
Okay.
If quite often, I think Alicia mentioned in our last webinar that the person being assessed can get a little bit anxious, and it can be quite a process too, because they're requiring help. So make sure that you've got somebody there that can support and help you. And if you're not sure, write a few things down, points, so that you remember, and that you have that opportunity to get everything you want to across to the assessor. Yeah.
Gorgeous. So on the My Aged Care website, they have a screen that says services that will keep me independent. And under there's a list of services that are available, and it's actually quite I'm just going to read some of these out. Documented. So domestic assistance, help with basic chores around the house, home maintenance, helping keeping your home and garden safe. So there's quite a few things, isn't there? Home modifications. There was a text after last week's session about home modifications and how they wanted to find out a bit more, and I suggest calling My Aged Care. Definitely. So there are also nursing, like health services, health and therapy, podiatry, physiotherapy, and occupational therapy. That's fantastic. And I don't think everyone's aware that that's what's coming in under the packages. And I think enlightening people to these areas, again, it's very clearly put in on the website. Next thing, and again, I wanted to add, because I think it's also very important, social support.
Definitely,
Yeah. I know we talked about it last week as well, that it's just, it's so important to be social and to have that support to be able to get to be social.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's look at eligibility. So I'm going to go down to yourself, Elise, and look at eligibility. So how is one eligible to go, I guess, first of all, to see whether or not they're okay for home care packages?
So I guess the first eligibility is to be over 65.
Okay, no while yet.
But then also, if you're not over 65, to have care needs related to an age-related condition. So it's about making sure that you've got care needs, and in speaking of home care packages, it's about those complicated care needs, the kind of care needs that require a coordinated care package, as opposed to the CHSP services that we've been speaking about previously.
Yeah, I think that's important, isn't it?
Yeah, and as we've said before, it's an aged care assessment that needs to deem your eligibility. So unlike the CHSP services where it's a RAS assessment, it is an ACAT assessment for home care packages for you to be able to have eligibility for that. Yep.
Okay, gorgeous. Okay, how long will it take? How long will it take to get a package?
It's a very good question.
It is a very good question.
So I guess the way I would answer that question is it's about priority.
Good.
So
yes, let's look at priority.
Yeah, so when you're assessed by the aged care assessment team for your eligibility for a home care package, you're also allocated a priority. Now, it's a bit of a hot topic at the moment. The majority of people who have eligibility for a home care package will be deemed as medium priority. Okay. There is a high priority. However, we often say if everyone's a high priority, no one's a high priority. So there's some really specific guidelines around being a high priority. And it's around care stress, about the risk that you have at home that without services, and it's about risk of homelessness, risk of entering into residential care, those kind of things. There are some really specific guidelines around what you need to look like for us to be able to provide you a high priority.
Good. I think it's important that we are all aware that there is priority, and I guess in many ways is kind of triaged in a manner that meets the urgency of needs.
Absolutely, and we have some really clear guidelines in our team about doing some case conferences around people who we believe are high priorities, and then making sure that there's no other services out there for that person in the interim whilst they're waiting for a home care package.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. See, it's great to have such expertise in the room. Okay. So, question from Sylvia. Is it possible to not have to wait if your needs are urgent? So I think we've just covered that, Sylvia. So hopefully that you captured that in regards to priority. And I know if you search the My Aged Care website, it discusses priority quite well as well. Yes.
And just, as an addition to that.
This is great. This is what.
If you're waiting for a home care package, there are interim services that we can put in on a short-term basis, and that is basically linking to our last webinar, which is the CHSP services.
Yeah.
But it is only a short-term fix.
And I guess on that, is that assessed by your ACAT assessor, your case manager? Do they then look at, okay, so you've got this urgency, this level of urgency, and at this moment we can't give you that service, but we've got this over here? Yeah,
so the aged care assessment team can assess you for your eligibilities under the Act, if you like, which is home care packages, but we can also provide referrals to services under CHSP as well as RAS.
Yeah. And do you, Georgina, in your practice, do you see this frequently?
Quite regularly.
Okay.
Yeah, but then it depends on the capacity. But definitely we can. You go on the. So you can stay on CHSP with the different referrals, and then you can go on to the lower. When you do go on a home care package, you will start on generally on a lower level, and until a higher package becomes available.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. And that makes, quite common sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. So there are services. Help. There is help out there.
Good. Yeah. So, we've got Laurel back. So, Laurel, you had some great questions last time. Would high priority include these diagnosed with life-limiting illnesses? It's a tough question, Laurel. You get us thinking.
Not necessarily,
Yeah.
because often there's specialised services for people with life-limiting illnesses. I know here in Albury we have the palliative care unit where then there's specific services for those people.
Yeah.
It's more about carer stress and the I guess the dire need for services at the time, regardless of what you've been diagnosed with.
Absolutely. And one last question before we move along from Joan. Are there degrees of high priority? For example, if you have more acute needs. So I think we've kind of answered that. Is everyone happy? Yeah, Jonah, hopefully that has answered your question. And thank you guys. It's really great to have this live Q&A.
Definitely.
It highlights, I guess, the concerns out there and the questions and probably somebody else. Of the 220 people watching us today, so hi to everybody, they're probably thinking of the same questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent, good. Alrighty, so expected wait times, which we were discussing on the My Aged Care website, suggests that level 1 approximate wait time would be 3 to 6 months, and then 12 months for levels 2, 3 and 4. And again, how urgently someone needs services can also impact how long it may take to receive that package.
And there has been a fair bit of movement in that area recently where some packages have been opened up.
Okay.
So there's been a little bit more movement in terms of packages being offered to people.
Okay.
Definitely,
Yeah.
But
So you want to add?
especially around the June, and a lot of packages have been opened up now.
Okay.
Food, which is excellent. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And I guess what also we wanted to point out today was that shop around.
Definitely.
Shop around. The providers out there are providing you with a service, but it's your choice, isn't it? Yeah.
Definitely. They've all got different charges, and and ask for a quote from the provider before signing up with the provider. Ask for a quote, which determines, and you can get quotes from different providers, and then and they should all be the same, basically the same format, and then you can compare them for what your needs are. Basically,
Yeah.
shop around.
Which is fantastic, because it brings me to the next actual part on the site of My Aged Care, is that there's a little link called Provider Tool. And you can go into that particular link and you can type in your postcode.
Yep.
And you can come up with some providers, and then you can choose 3 and you can actually compare them and what services they provide. I don't know if it gives you the fees, I do apologise for that, but it's a good way of preparing. I think just get onto the site. It's actually easy to use, and you can just shop around.
Definitely.
I had fun with it the other night to see what's available.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So we might just recap. Hang on, I think we've got another one here. I've got some great questions coming through. So one from Kim. What about if local CHSP providers cannot provide the services? So CHSP is different than home care packages. We might say, what's the difference again, just to clarify? Do you want to do that one for me? Yeah,
So
Liz, thanks.
CHSP services are your basic entry level services. So it might be, domestic assistance, or it might be personal care, or it might be social support. Usually it's for people with lower care needs and not requiring the the comprehensive assessment and the
Complex care.
That's right.
Yeah.
That a home care package would provide.
Yeah.
I wonder if the question's about if you're getting CHSP services whilst you're waiting for a home care package, but your CHSP services don't have capacity. Part of that might be a situation if there's carer stress and a few other different things going on. It might be a situation where we may consider a high priority if there's no other eligible services to provide you with the support that you need at home.
Okay, brilliant. So, gosh, they're coming in thick and fast. Angus has got one. With 800 plus approved home care providers, when will there be more support for vulnerable people to engage in the market? Sorry, Angus, it's to engage the market to choose a provider. You can get online now, Angus, and look at a provider and shop around. So I highly recommend getting on the website and or going and asking, I guess, where in your local communities you could find out what service providers there are and ask what they're providing, and you can ask them for a quote, absolutely, and compare. So again, if you're in crisis and you're vulnerable, that becomes a little bit difficult, but that's where wonderful assessors will come in. My Aged Care will take on your details at the contact centre when you call, and then they will refer you to an assessor, and then you'll be on the road to finding services. Was that be correct?
That's right. That's right.
I'd like to add too. Also, you receive a letter when you have been approved a home care package.
Okay.
There's a waiting period between when you've been approved and when you've been assigned. I suggest when you receive the letter saying that you've been approved, start looking around then.
Okay.
Don't wait till when you've been assigned the home care package, because you have limited time then to be able to have the home care package signed up with a provider. So you've usually got a couple of months in between. Make sure you start looking straight away.
Okay.
And do your research there.
And My Aged Care have been sending out some letters to people who are approved for home care packages, if they're going to be assigned their package imminently.
Okay.
And it basically says you're going to be assigned your package, please start preparing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So that is another letter that they have been sending out recently, saying, you're a month or 2 months away from being assigned a package. Start preparing now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Good. Excellent. So as consumer health representative, what sort of things can you suggest? And do they ring? Do they knock on the door? Do they go and visit? I mean, what are some of the things people can do?
I think, Angus, if you're feeling quite overwhelmed with it, I recall in one position I had where the phone calls where people were confused and overwhelmed and feeling really, really vulnerable. Look, if you haven't got somebody that you trust that can advocate for yourself, certainly contact OPAN, like an advocacy service.
Yeah.
They can't make the choices for you, but they can guide you through as independent advocates, and that can be really, really helpful. But don't be afraid to ring your service providers and ask to speak to a coordinator that can step you through. That's really important. And I know that coordinators do. We certainly do. You step through and try and support people, and we can't make the decisions for you, but we can sometimes unscrabble the ball of wool, which is confusing for everybody.
Yeah. So Laurel here also backs up Angus there and says it's somewhat overwhelming. She used your words exactly. For those with cognitive challenges to shop around. So in that event, I would highly recommend advocacy services. So there's OPAN, which is the national number, 1800 700 600. And then that will take you through to your state. So each state will have an advocacy service, some amazing advocates out there. They'll walk beside you and assist you in I guess finding what's appropriate services for yourself and what you need in your services. So thanks guys again, these are really great questions. And it just goes to show that this is a really needed service to talk about, and I think the more we can open it up, the better.
And I think the conversations and things are happening in the background at the moment. Things are happening to try and help people out there with navigating. So there's a lot happening, a lot of work being done.
Yeah, beautiful. So we've got 2 more minutes. I think we're happy to stick with questions just for a little bit. Okay. So Rolf, can my package be used to help my carer? And Rolf, this is a really, really good question. So let's just extrapolate that a little bit, ladies.
I mean, for the carer, you can put in carers relief, where a care worker can come to the home and the carer gets to go out, for a couple of hours, or there's all different services available. Because sometimes we have packages where the carer would like to go shopping, doctor's appointments, anything to help the carer, because looking after the carer means looking after the client as well. They're hand in hand. You have to look after the carer.
Yeah. So is that assessed? Like when the ACAT assessor comes to your home, is the carer then involved in the assessment? I mean, you must be very clever when you do your assessments.
Absolutely. I mean, yes, we are clever. But also, yes, absolutely, the carers are involved, and we make a point of that because, as you say, it's usually a team effort. It's usually, you know, the care recipient as well as the carer, and the impact on the carer then has an impact on the care recipient. So it's really important to involve the carer. And actually, we ask some specific questions of the carer about where they're at, how they're feeling, are they overwhelmed, are they stressed? You know, sometimes we ask, what sort of things do you need to be able to provide better care or make life easier for you as the carer of the care recipient? Yep.
Yeah, excellent, good. So it's a holistic package. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Good. So we're coming towards the end of this particular session. I'd just like to highlight some of the things that we have covered. So we're looking at what are home packages, the levels of home care packages, and the assessment, which we'll cover a little bit more as soon as we get started on the next webinar. There are some other questions, Q&A, that have come through, but we can answer them in the next half hour. So we're going to say, see you later. We'll see you very shortly. Keep up the questions and take care.